So I figured some of you guys might enjoy this. In the past, we've done over a dozen videos on flipper cars and how people get ripped off and all of that. But we've never owned one of these cars. Now we do. So I'm going through this Jeep XJ that I bought. It's a 98 XJ that I bought a few weeks ago. And it was a deal I just could not pass up. It had been listed for $4,800. They dropped the price to $1,000. And I was like, you know what? I don't care what's wrong with it. $1,000 sold, right? So I knew right away it had a cracked flex plate. So I bought a flex plate for it. I ran it over to my friends over at Coleman Taylor Transmission here in Murfreesboro. Let them swap it out. Now, if that name sounds familiar, there was a funny car called the Coleman Super Ford back in 1970, and it was a camera-powered Torino, double-A fuel funny car. And these guys have this car. It's their, it's their family, the family heritage. So the car is over in Memphis. We're in Nashville. The car's in Memphis. And at some point in a not too distant future, I'm going to hook up with them and we're going to do a whole feature on that car and its history and how it exists today. But that's for another thing entirely. So at any rate, got the truck back. Everything is good. Engine's good. Tranny's good. Four-wheel drive is good. Everything, it functions. Everything is good. But now I'm working my way through this vehicle. Now I knew right away that it was a flipper car, because there's a lot of telltale signs when something comes from a flipper. It makes a really nice appearance. So, initial appearance. See, like, this is all original paint. This has been buffed and poofed, and it's all beautiful. It's got shiny chrome wheels on it, typical flipper stuff, right? They added this accessory light bar, which isn't hooked up to anything. It's just wires tucked up behind the grill, no switches or anything like that. But they added this lighting here. They poofed it as best they could. If you look at the interior, you can see it doesn't have the normal patina of a 25-year-old truck with 210, I think it's 210,000 miles on it. Everything is like extra clean, extra poofed, okay? See, it doesn't have any of the normal patina or age. So I know this truck has been, let's just say, at one point it was a real turd and somebody attempted to polish it. So now we're taking the polished turd and we're going to turn the polished turd into a viable truck. So cosmetically, like I said, they went out of their way to make this thing look as sweet as possible. And hey, you know what? That counts for me, because it's something I don't have to do. But here is something I have to do. The car, truck, Jeep, whatever you want to call it, was blasted in this corner at some point. So I don't know if you could see it, if it's going to show up. But yeah, you can see this section of the quarter panel right here, and the back hatch. It's just horrible. The bodywork is like they took their hash browns and mashed it into the car and then just spray painted it black real quick. It's horrendous. But I can fix that as I go along. It's not that big of a deal. Here, typical flipper stuff. So you see on this side, it's got the 4x4 emblem sticker, and on this side, I don't know if you could see it. I don't know if it's going to show up here or not, but they literally just painted over the sticker. Can you see that? I don't know. But yeah, trust me, the sticker is there. They just put paint over it. Typical flipper stuff. This is the kind of stuff you got to watch out for. You're going to look at a vehicle, or if you've got a friend who's going to look at a vehical, like these are the things you want to watch. You want to look for. You want to look for patina that's beyond good. Like not normal for its age, or its mileage. You could tell it's been poofed, and when it's been poofed, you can pretty much guarantee that it is more than what meets the eye. I'm going to show you what's more than meets the eye here now. So I deduced, after looking things over, that this vehicle sat for an extended period of time, probably years, in the back of a junkyard or somebody's backyard or someplace where it was just generally discarded. You could tell because it has unnatural rust the kind of rust that you don't find on a vehicle that's used all the time. Right? So here, look at this pulley, the back of this pulley. Now typically these things are shiny because the belt is always keeping them clean. And even if you leave it parked for a couple of months, you leave it parked for 6 months, if the hood is closed, you won't get this pitted kind of rust that this surface has. So I know, looking at areas around the truck, that this thing had been parked for an extended period of time with the hood open, like as if it's junk. So let's go. Another clue that this is what's happening, and why I know that this was pieced together by from a few different vehicles. So you see the rug, it's not a new rug, but there are no water stains anywhere on it. Oh, okay, that's just a reflection off of that. You can see that there's really no water stains anywhere on it. But if you look at the patina on these bolts, like this one right here, you can see that it doesn't match the patina of the bracket that it's bolted to, and it has some surface rust on it too. So this is a mix match of a couple of different Jeeps inside, and I'm fine with that because it all makes a decent appearance. But now if you look underneath the truck, and this thing is actually it's actually very clean underneath. Look at this, it's got a brand new exhaust system, right? And you can see that the floor pan is nice until you get to right over here, and we have a rust hole right here, and yeah, a little bit of softness right here. Here, this is crunchy. Okay, this rusted from the inside out. So what that tells me is that this thing sat for a long period of time with the windows open, or cracked, or the doors open, because the area where it's rusted is directly underneath the front window over here. So if this thing sat with the door partially open or the window partially down, over time, rain is going to go in there, soak into the rug, and then rust the floor from the inside out, or from the, from the top side down. That's what obviously what happened here. And then they grabbed the interior out of another one. The gray interior is very common on these. They just grabbed the rug and the seats out of another one and popped it in here. Works for me, and it's a quick, easy fix on the floor. I'll do that in the spring. So now we're underneath this, and I'm picking through it just to make sure that we're all good to go, that it's completely roadworthy. And I see that the front end is also comprised of a couple of different vehicles. So look at the patina, look at the rusty patina on the backing plate. See that heavy scaly rust, right? And it matches everything that's here, okay? And then look at the steering, look at the panhard bar. Now the panhard bar is not the original one from this truck. And you can see right here, okay, you can see right here where they literally just jammed the bolt in. So they took the panhard bar and other components for the front suspension and jammed it in, and they used just whatever bolt they had laying around. This is not the right bolt that goes in here. It's supposed to be a washer, a big washer around it, but there's no washer. So this is enough to get it together and get it down the road, get it sold. But over time, this is going to wear. This is going to, every time the truck moves sideways, this is pushing and pulling. And that will eventually, the way it is right now, this will eventually oblong a hole. So we've got to take care of that. It's these little things as you go through the vehicle, you find these things and you fix them. But this is what you're up against. When you buy something from a flipper, this is what you're up against. The battery hold down, we're missing a whole section to the battery hold down. This is just random wiring. I've already pulled a bunch of stuff out of here. But this is random wiring, not attached to anything. This is a harness, or just wiring, not attached to anything, just zip tied in place. Zip ties are always a sign of trouble. There's nothing wrong with using a zip tie for a quick temporary fix. You know, just until you can make it right. But when there's zip ties everywhere, you know that this person is just like ripping this thing together. Just stick it together, get it out of here, right? No real caretaking. So I have no idea how many zip ties I've already pulled out from under the hood of this thing. But it's one of my pet peeves, man, zip ties. All right, not that my friend Peg, zip ties, bias plies, whole different thing, but zip ties on a vehicle, it's a bad sign. This harness was transplanted from another vehicle. And again, the patina just doesn't match. So this is a combination of a few different Jeeps. Oh, and what I'm underneath here working on at the moment, we got a storm coming in over the next couple of days, so I figured, oh, four-wheel drive, let's get this thing up and running. It had a transmission fluid leak from the front axle area. So this is the cooler line that runs past the front axle, and you can see right there it had worn through. So I'm just replacing it. I've got a length of 3/8 tubing and some compression fittings, and I'm going to just bend this up to match that and compression fitting it in place. At some point I'll get the right cooler line for it and put it in, because I do want to keep this truck, and I do want to make it a nice truck. It's definitely, it's a keeper. It's a keeper for sure. So that's the little things, man. If you buy something that's too clean, that's too like poofed, too detailed, start looking closer, and you're going to find all of these little things like I'm finding right now on this. And it's not a big deal if you expect it. You know, if you know going in, you know, okay, somebody's doctored this thing, somebody's polished this turd. As long as you know going in, you know, and you're cool with that, and you know to really scrutinize everything, you don't go from one end to the other, because you never know what they hid or what they just jammed in place or what they just did to just get it down the road. As long as you're prepared to go one end to the other, you can get some seriously good deals off of a flipper vehicle. So that's it, guys. Let me get back to work on this thing before it starts snowing, and I'll see you tomorrow.